Hi everyone, it's Tamara here for lalalandcrafts with another card making tutorial. This time I'm using the new clear stamp set Splish Splash. I'll be doing some Copic colouring of the bears and then making this summer themed card. So let's get started. Now I wanted to use the safari truck to make a beach buggy for my bears to ride in. So I've cut it out in pink cardstock and I'm just using a bit of washi tape just to seal up the openings so that I can pop in both the lights, the blinkers and also the grill. So I'm just popping a little bit of glue into each of the openings just to slot everything in place. So I've got our two lights in, and then I'm just popping the two blinkers. So you can just cut these out of whatever colored cardstock that you want. And I'm just using some black cardstock for the grill. So pop that in there and pop the other two. And then we'll get our tires. Now I ended up accidentally putting the tires on first, and that's why I was thinking, should I put the tires on or the bumper bar? So initially I put the bumper bar, but when I put the tires on I thought it looked a bit strange, so I pulled it off and changed it out, but I did that off camera. So yeah, you can do it this way, but I think I prefer it with the bumper bar over the top. And then we'll just get our little bear stuck in, so just put a little bit of glue along the base and just pop him in the front ready to ride in the sand dunes. Now I'm using both the Flamingo floating die but also the unicorn floating add-on die. So I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown on how to put everything on. So I found putting the ear on and also the horn on first. So I just lined up the little bits in order and just using my pickup tool just attach that and then just make sure I push that into place with the end, and then we can just get the face popped on. So I've just popped the end one on. We'll grab our face, get that glued in place so that kind of goes over the base of that horn. And now we'll pop the eye in. So I just found it's easy to pop the bit of glue in first and then pop the eye in, and then finally the iris that goes in. And then I'll just show you a couple of the mane going on, so you could choose whichever colors that you'd like. I just kind of went in between the pink and the purple all the way down. And then I find it's easier to line everything kind of up on my mat in order that it will go onto my tail. And again, I'm just alternating between the pink and the purple to match in with the mane. So it just slots in really easily, just one after the other. Get the biggest piece on. And then we'll get our final piece on, and then it's ready to attach to the actual floaty. So we're ready to get everything attached now. So I've grabbed all my elements. We're going to get the head attached to the floaty itself, just lining it up with the etched line that's on the actual floaty die. Pop on the tail, and then we'll get our little bear that's going to be sitting in that floaty. So just put a little bit of glue on the spots where he'll sit on the actual floaty as well. Now I've grabbed out a piece of smooth white cardstock, and all the measurements will be in the description box below. I also grabbed 2 pieces of scrap white cardstock that measured the same on each of the length, and then I'm grabbing out also the new Ocean Waves die, and I'm using the one that actually cuts out each piece of wave itself, and I'll be using the Snowbanks die for my actual sand that I'm going to be creating. I've also going to be using the Summer is Here layering stencil set, and I'm going to be using the sun, and I'll be using the Mustard Seed and Spice Marmalade Distress Oxides to colour my sun. As the sand's going to be down the bottom, I'm only just colouring up the top. So I've started off with the Mustard Seed first, and then blending out to the Spice Marmalade, and just blending between those 2 colours. And we'll just set that aside to dry and work on our sand. So I'm just going to create 2 different sizes of my sand. So I'll be using this sandbank for both of them. So I'm just going to work out roughly where I want to attach, so I know how much sand I will need. So I need to do that for 2 of them. And then I've just grabbed out 3 different types of blue green kind of cardstock, and making sure that they measure the same length as what our back panel does. And I'll be cutting one of the Ocean Waves dies out of each of those colors. So I've just grabbed out my die cutting machine, and I'm just going to quickly run that through the die cutting machine to show you how easily this cuts through and comes out. So just lining that up, pop that through. And now we've got our perfect little wave to go on the front of our card. So we'll do that with the other 2 colors as well. And while we have our die cutting machine out, I'll just cut one of the Snowbanks dies. I should have really just stuck that down with a bit of washi tape, but I'm just in a hurry, so I'm just kind of fussing around with it until I get it in the right spot. Run that through, and that's our first sandbank, and we'll do another one and run that through as well. Now to colour up our sandbank, I'm just using some more Distress Oxides in tea dye and antique linen. So I'm just blending so that I've got a nice smooth blend between them. Then I've just grabbed out Vintage Photo, so I can just get a little bit of darker colour around the edges. And then I'll also grab out my splatter box and use that Vintage Photo to create kind of some sand particles for our sand. So I just grab out a rounded brush, just put a couple of sprays onto my mat with a couple of splatters of the Vintage Photo, and just give that a good tap off into my splatter box until I've got a nice sand effect. Now I'm just going to line up my sandbanks and work out where I'm wanting these attached. So I'll grab out also the wave dies and just work out roughly where I want these to sit, and that will help me work out where I want my sandbanks to be glued. I'm going to initially glue the 2 sandbanks through together, and then I'm just checking with my other elements that they will all fit onto the front of my card. So I thought it's going to be easier to pop our waves down first, and then I can get the sandbanks dies in there, and that way I know that these waves are in exactly the position that I'm wanting them to be, just kind of coming up where that sun's coming up. So I've just grabbed out my tweezers and just putting a small amount of glue on all of those. I'm just lining them up because I've got them measured perfectly to that front card. And then we'll get the final darker one up the top. Bit of glue just dashed along there, and we'll just get that above. So that's all lined up, and now we'll get our sand ready to be attached as well. So I've worked out where I want, adding a bit of glue so I can attach those two sand pieces together, making sure they line up correctly with our waves above. So we'll get some glue onto those panels and we'll attach them directly to the card front, making sure that they're lined up on all the edges. I initially stamped out my sentiment on some white cardstock, but I thought it was a bit too kind of bright, and I also used the bigger ticket die, but I wanted to use the smaller one so that it fits in my sky a little bit better. So I printed it out onto, or stamped it out onto, some yellow cardstock, and just using the smaller ticket die, I think that's the perfect size for our sentiment for this card. Just going to glue our front panel directly to a white card base, which I've already cut and scored. So just making sure that's lined up on the front and give it a good press down, and then we can get all our other elements on there. I'm just going to again just work out exactly where I want to place everything before I grab my foam tape. I'm going to pop all of these up with some foam tape, and we'll get our sentiment. I didn't end up using that third bear, but you know, I've got him there for another project should I need it. So I've grabbed out my foam tape and we'll attach it to the back of all our elements, and I've taken off the release paper, and we'll get everything attached to the card front, just ensuring that I don't put any foam tape on any areas that are sitting off the card. So we'll just line up our ticket die and then our little beach buggy bear. And that's the finished card project for this tutorial. These bears from Splish Splash are so gorgeous, and I thought they worked really well in this kind of beachy kind of scene. I hope you've enjoyed this card making tutorial. If you have, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see any future videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.